Welcome to the Together for Education in Ames podcast, where we have meaningful conversations on the state of our local school districts. Schools should be a place of hope for children, where they can come and learn without fear of being judged and labeled. We advocate for unity in our student population and excellence in education. I am Kira Werstein, your host. Hosting with me today is Sadrak Aleman. On our first episode of Together for Education, we'll start with brief introductions. We'll discuss what we aim to achieve in this podcast. Then we are going to jump right into it. Sadrak will share his story as a teacher working in the Ames School District and about a Facebook post that he made and why he is no longer working there. And we'll finish with the implications of Sadrak's story for others in our community and in our district. So again, my name is Kira Werstein. I am a college teaching professor and mother of 3 children in the Ames School District.
I'm Sadrak Aleman. I'm a Spanish teacher here locally in Central Iowa.
Sadrak and I and the team working together on this initiative, we value quality education for children. We aim to discuss current events, policies, practices, curriculum in our school, and our mission is to come together as a community around our shared goals in education, respect for common humanity, and human dignity. So just want to give a few disclosures as well about this podcast. The Together for Education podcast is a grassroots, community-based nonprofit initiative. We are not associated or connected in any way to any political party, political action committee, church, religion, business, or any other organization. Contributors are Central Iowa residents who have come together with their time, energy, and skills in efforts to unite our schools and our community around a focus of quality education for children. So with that, let's just transition to talking a little more specifically right now about Ames and about our community. Ames is a wonderful place to live that attracts people from all over the world because of all of the goodness that Ames has to offer. My husband and I moved to Ames in 2009. We planted roots here, we had our children here, and we plan to raise our family here. We love Ames, and that is my why I am here talking on this podcast right now. I care very deeply about our community and our schools, and we aim to invest in our great community. And so, Sadrak, could you tell us a little bit more about your background and where you're originally from? What brought you to Ames?
Sure. Thank you. Like I said before, my name is Sadrak Aleman. I'm originally from Nicaragua, and I moved here back in 2010. My wife was living in Ames, Iowa, so I was glad to come here. And then, my background in Nicaragua, I was teaching English as a foreign language. So when I came to the States, I really wanted to, keep doing my career, like teaching. And thankfully, God opened doors for me to be able to teach.
Awesome. Very cool. So you have a heart for teaching and a heart for kids. And it inspired you to become an ESL teacher in Iowa. When you were teaching in the Ames district, just again to just jump right into it, how many years had you been working in the district?
4 years.
Okay, and so last year was your 4th year. There had been a progression of what many, including the Iowa legislatures, have labeled some controversial curriculum. And so last spring, when the district presented some of this controversial curriculum, there were many different topics discussed. Today, we'll focus on this was a whole week worth of what the district called a week of action. On the Wednesday, as a teacher, you had some concerns about the material for the elementary students. Could you tell us a little bit about that Wednesday?
Sure. Like I said, I was, just very concerned about was scheduled to teach on that Wednesday. And I also talked to some teachers within the district that have some concerns about it. And I mean, I just really, really didn't feel comfortable, talking about, I wasn't supposed to teach it, but just hearing the other teachers had to, it was really hard for me to, seeing these teachers that don't want to talk about this, being, I wouldn't use the word forced, but they were asked to, teach those subjects.
Yeah. And so as an ESL teacher, you weren't teaching the curriculum specifically. Other teachers were that you talked to. And the on that Wednesday, can you talk through what that curriculum looked like for the teachers in the classroom, what they were, the district initiated and was asking the teachers to teach about?
Sure. The topic or the subject schedule for that Wednesday was trans affirming and queer affirming. For me, that week of action, like they call it, I was all in. We're going to talk about injustice. I told him, just call me in. But when I saw that on Wednesday, I was just like, why are we putting this on the Wednesday schedule here? Like, what does that have to do with, BLM? And what does that have to do with, caring for our kids? So as I was talking to some teachers, they were really not happy about that. And some of them were actually being really honest with me, saying, I am not going to teach that. I don't know what I'm going to do during that time. There's a lot of things that I can be doing during that time, with my kids, but I'm not willing to go ahead and, teach those subjects.
So injustice is something that's important to you, or justice rather, and eliminating injustice. And so that was something you were excited to talk with students about. This approach on these topics was not something you thought was appropriate.
Correct.
And so you, after talking with other teachers and reflecting on this, you thought about it more at home, and you made a post on Facebook about it.
Correct.
And so we're a podcast, so we're audio here. We'll have this post on the website. Do you think you could just read for us what that post said?
Yes. Happy to hear that a lot of teachers were brave enough to not follow the BLM agenda and did not teach what was in the calendar for today or for that day.
And so you made that Facebook post in the evening, and then what happened the next day at work?
The next day, we have a snow day, so we were teaching remotely. And the next morning, I started getting some, a phone call first and then text, but I didn't pick up because I was already teaching and I wasn't going to stop what I was doing just to get the phone, So, but, I got a text saying, hey, we need to talk about the post that you did on Facebook. And we want you to delete it. We want you to take it down. I kept on teaching. Then at the end of the day, I called the principal and I asked, what's going on? You called me, you want to meet? And she said, yes, we wanted to meet with you today, but the HR lady, I don't remember her name, is not available right now, so we will meet tomorrow.
Okay, and we do have the audio from that meeting, so I'm going to go ahead and push play to hear a little bit about what that meeting sounded like for you.
Yeah. Well, we just wanted to have a conversation with you about the social media, the post you made on Facebook that reads, happy to hear that a lot of teachers were brave enough to not follow the BLM agenda and did not teach what was in the calendar for today.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the things that was brought to my attention that is just a little concerning for me is one, that it would be posted, but two, I just want to know kind of what was your intent, or what were you hoping to accomplish by posting that?
I feel like I was just like the posters, like happy to hear that some teachers didn't share what was scheduled for Wednesday, and that was my point. Like happy to know that.
So the specific topics that were kind of set aside for Wednesday, when you say the topics, because there were three, the Black Lives Matter agenda, which ones were you specifically referring to, or was it really the collection of all three?
I think it was I don't even know how to say it, like the queer.
The queer affirming?
Yeah, and the other one was it was on that same line though.
The trans affirming?
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Okay. And so for you, I guess my question is why were you so happy to hear that people would not want to engage in conversations? And I'm going to preface that because the other one that was listed there was collective value. And for our building, and thinking about the elementary, what I had sent out and shared and kind of highlighted in our weekly update is that our primary focus would be on collective value. Not that necessarily those other things would not come up in discussion or would not be discussed or taught, but that our focus would be on the collective value, so that all of the students within our building could be affirmed in their own identity and who they are. So I'm wondering what was it about those two things specifically that made you happy that people chose maybe not to do that and to engage in that work?
Well, I completely disagree with those two things. I feel like that's a subject that should be talked about at home, not in schools. And I also think that, they're little kids going through, not going through, but we're going to listen to those conversations. And I think that it is not age appropriate.
I'm just gonna pause right there for a second and see if we can unpack that a little bit. What I hear her saying, to summarize, is, what's the problem, Cedric? We're just having a conversation, and then it sounds like you're saying these are very young kids. We're presenting new ideas to some of them, and these are topics that perhaps many people have differing views on, which is why it should be taught in the home. Is that an accurate summary, or tell me what exactly you were?
Yeah, I feel like these things, from my point of view, from what I think is things that need to be, be discussed at home. I feel like the school is not the place to be talking about this. I think schools are, places to be teaching content, to be teaching about reading, writing, math, and not about, these kind of things. And I was really clear in my post, like, Sadrach, I'm happy to hear this. Like, my intention wasn't, I don't feel like a bad intention. Like, I was just happy to hear that teachers were brave enough not to do it. Mm-hmm. I was like, yay.
Yeah, right. And then let's continue listening. She had more to say on your response to that.
And my belief, as a believer, is like, that's not good. That's not right. So.
Okay. So I'm going to be really honest, right? Because I feel like this is a little hard, in that I saw that and was just really disappointed, because I feel like you happen to be not only a male, which in elementary education is like, there aren't a lot of males in elementary education, for one, but two, you are also a minority teaching in an elementary building.
Okay, so I'm going to pause right there again. I'm wondering, when I hear that, you're a minority, and she's really disappointed in you because you're a minority. What exactly does that mean? What did she mean by that?
I mean, it can mean a lot of things. The things that came to my mind, as I was going through the meeting and after the meeting, because that really stuck with me. Like, you're a minority, like you're a male. I was thinking, the initiative that the school or the district has been going through is to get away from those things, just like, because you're a minority, you're supposed to, come to my side. Because you're a minority, you're supposed to say yes to those things. We were trying, or we are attempting, or now they're still attempting to go away from those things. But here we are, and what I hear is saying you are a minority, and you have to say yes sir to everything we say. And I mean, like I said, isn't these the things that we're trying to run away from or to go away from? And here we are, minority, like they called me, a person of color, was told, those things by another person of color. Like, I was confused.
Yeah.
I was really confused. Like, come on, people, isn't this like the things that we need to step away from? And here we are, you are doing the exact same things to me.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, let's hear some more.
And I have seen the way that you interact with students. And I would say overwhelmingly, like, students love you, right?
Yeah.
They like engaging with you. The work that you do, like, it shines through, and your heart for kids shines through. But what was concerning to me and what made me just a little disappointed is that I know that in this building that we have students who identify as trans or queer and have had students in the past, right? Who have actually gone through a transgender transformation, and have made that transition. And I recognize you may not be aware of all of those students that we have in our building, but this is not a chance to, I guess this was never about saying, like, this is right and this is what we expect everybody to do, right? This was a chance for us to come together as a school community and to support those students in our building who often are left behind, right? Mm-hmm. Or who are ostracized or set apart because of how they feel inside and because of how they identify. And that the whole point of this was to affirm and help create a space where they feel valued and accepted. And so I guess that's why I was really disappointed, because I feel like what I see from you is that you have a heart for kids, but then this comment was in a direct contrast to that belief that maybe all of the students within our building have value.
Mm-hmm. No, and like you say, there are some kids in our building. I respect that. Like, it's not that I'm going to go and say things to them. No, I respect that. That's something that I do. Like, I respect people and I respect their opinions. But I also have my opinion, and it should be respected too. So I still love those kids, no matter, what they think or how they look like. I mean, I still love them, but I was just like, one more time, happy to hear that not all teachers did it. But like you said, like, I still love all of the kids. That doesn't change my heart for them.
So just going to pause there again. And what you're saying is, we don't all have to disagree, or we don't all have to agree. We can disagree, and I can still love these kids.
I feel like it was really hard for me at that point. Like, she was like assuming that I was going to respect or love some kids, but not all. And like I said from the beginning, I have, heart for kids. I love kids, and I'm on this, because I love kids. And from my point of view, and what I said is, like, I don't care how they look like. I don't care, the way they dressed up. I don't care about, their opinions. I love them. And that's what I'm in schools for, because I love the kids. And, they will have their opinions. They will think differently. but that doesn't mean that I'm not going to love to them. Like, I can disagree with them and still love them. I feel like an example that I have given to people is with my wife. I disagree with a lot of things, and a lot of things with my wife. And I'm pretty sure that a lot of husbands out there will be like, yeah, with a lot of things, but I still love my wife. And we disagree in a lot of things, but I still love her. So I feel like it's the exact same thing here. We all have different opinions. We all think differently. And that doesn't mean that we have to hate each other.
Yeah.
No, I love those kids. And that's something that I told her, I think, several times within the meeting. Like, I'm here for the kids. I'm going to respect the kids. If those kids are going through hard moments, I'm going to be there for them. If other kids are trying to make fun of them, no, I'm going to stand up and say, no, let's stop this.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that I have to say yes to what they're, to what the school was doing, or I don't have to say yes, this is good, let's do it, okay? No, I'm going to be there for the kids, but I'm going to respect them, and I'm going to keep loving on them, but that doesn't mean that I have to agree with them.
Totally. So continuing with your conversation.
So I guess what's frustrating here, I think, is what that communicated to the community, right? There's a couple of issues here. One is because it does suggest, right, that this is something that everybody in the district, right, has been asked to engage in across the board. And as public educators, regardless of what our personal opinion is, we have to check that before we walk into the building and leave it outside and follow through and do what we've been asked to do in our role as public educators. The other thing that I think is concerning a little bit is, right, our focus in this district, which is like the primary reason that I wanted to be here in Ames, is that we're actually talking about all of these things, and we're focusing on making things better for the students that have been marginalized, and not just Black students, but our EL students who come from, I think we have 14 different countries well represented in our building, right? Yeah. And so we're working to affirm all of those things, but that's our responsibility as an educator, regardless of our beliefs, is to be able to support the students that we serve. And we serve everybody. And I guess I feel like I need to know, and I know you suggested this, but if this were to come up in the future, because I guarantee you this is not going away, right? There are going to be more opportunities for these discussions to take place in classrooms. And I need to know if you were pushed, and I know in this instance, being an EL teacher, right, I did not have a direct conversation with you specifically about teaching these things, right? But I guess I need to know is, can you set those opinions and check them at the door and be able to come in and still work to affirm the students that we have in our building?
I think that I can work with the students, but I cannot leave my beliefs outside the building. They come inside with me. And I'm going to say this one more time, as a believer, as a follower of Christ, I think that I have to bring them wherever I go. And I can work with the students, like I told you. Like, if there are students that are here in my classroom, I will teach them what they need to know. That is my job, to teach them what they need to know and be here for them. And like, one more time, if some kids is making fun of them, my job is to stop that and talk to them about it and just let them know what's going on. I can do that. But I like you said, I might leave my opinions outside the building, but I cannot live outside my beliefs and how I think that things should be.
Wow, that is really powerful. I am real concerned about the way she phrases that you are to leave your opinions outside the door. She uses the word opinions, but these are beliefs that she's asking you to leave outside the door. And what are your thoughts on your First Amendment rights, freedom of religion in the workplace? And how did you process through that?
I don't know, at that point, like I told her, as a believer, And I did this, or I've been doing this like everywhere I've been to. Like I identify myself as a believer wherever I go, and those are my beliefs. And like I told her, like I'm going to respect those kids, but I'm not willing to say yes to the things that were supposed to be taught that day. I cannot leave. I don't know if I mentioned this in the audio, but I was thinking like I cannot leave my Jesus outside the building. I need it inside with me. But like I said, I'm there or I'm in a building to teach content and to teach what the kids need to know. In my case, at that point, I was working as the ESL teacher at Sawyer Elementary. And my job is to teach them English. My job is to teach them, about the language, about the culture, not about those things. So one more time, I'm there for the students. I will stand up for the students, but I cannot say yes to those things.
And you said that was part of your identity. It's part of your identity. Your beliefs, part of who you are. You didn't ask, I didn't hear you in this anywhere, for anybody to affirm your beliefs.
Correct.
And correct me if I'm wrong, you don't teach on your beliefs in your classroom.
No. No.
So they're your beliefs, but in your classroom, you teach the content and
Correct.
the subject matter. Yeah.
That's right.
All right, continuing here.
Yeah. So I'm going to probably dig into that a little bit more, but I think with this other thing that is also disheartening is that basically this is almost like a pat on the back to all of those teachers who maybe chose not to do what they've been frankly directed to do by our district, which is almost promoting some insubordination. And I'd kind of like to know your thoughts about that.
I didn't do it on that way. Like one more time, I want to be clear. Like I, Sadrak, was happy to hear that. I wasn't trying to pat nobody on their back. I wasn't trying to encourage people to disobey. I wasn't trying to make people go against what the district is saying. No, me personally, I was happy about that.
Okay, so here is the other piece. I feel like this is a little complicated, right? Too, because now it's made me question. I know I had lots of conversations with people, but one of the things that I wish would have happened is if you were feeling this way about those topics, that instead of posting something to social media, that you would have come to me and had a conversation, or reached out to Dr. Jones, who is the director of equity, or Jessica Sidler, who I know you know. And maybe have a relationship with, to say, you know what, I am really uncomfortable with this, so that we could have had a conversation and maybe work through some of those things as opposed to posting on social media. Because the bottom line is that I know that you have your own identity, but part of your identity is also as a member of the school district and as a district employee. And so when things like that are posted, it may come from you, the individual, but to other people, and the perception is that it comes from you as the employee, as a member of the district. And I think that's where this is troublesome, because what was communicated, and I think in some of the comments that people posted, what is communicated is that you are not in support of students being affirmed for who they are and supporting them in that role. And I think that was, perhaps an unintended consequence of posting that. I don't know that that was your intent, but that is the message that now has been communicated to some people within our community. And I don't know, it'll be interesting as this continues to evolve, what those conversations with parents will be like, because I can guarantee that there will probably be some that say, how can there be teachers in your building? My child goes there and they're not okay with supporting my child for who they are.
I got to pause it there. So they're not okay with supporting my child for who they are. That's the exact opposite of what you've been saying the whole time.
Yeah.
You've been saying, I love the children, no matter what they look like, no matter what their beliefs are. I respect and love them. And it's being twisted, what you said and what you're being accused of.
Mm-hmm. I feel like, I don't know, like, I mean, before this part that you play, she asked, next year when this comes up, what are you going to stand up? What are you going to, what are you going to do? And the same place. I'm going to stand and sit on the same place, and maybe even speak louder. And like you said, that community saw things differently. Well, that wasn't my point. My point was, like I said from the very get-go, I was happy, I'm still happy that those teachers, did not teach those things. That was my point. My point wasn't trying to offend somebody or to say things, just to hurt people. No, I love those kids, and that was my post.
Yeah. And she said at the beginning of this as well, she wished that if you were having these feelings, she wished you would have gone to the director of equity, some of the administrators in the department, so you could talk about it. I'm wondering what that would involve.
Right. And this was my concern as a teacher. This was my concern as a community member. I have a daughter. This was my concern. I know that a lot of parents reach out to some principals, reach out to some people in district office, and they will just playing with their email. Well, you have to go to this person. Well, this person was the one doing this. So what was the point if they were going to be playing with emails or with phone calls anyways?
Oh, so let me see if I understand correctly. So if community members came to them about you, is that what you're saying?
About what the parents that were opposed to the school teaching those things.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
And then in addition to that, I'm wondering what exactly the meeting would have looked like if, with your feelings and concerns about the Wednesday topics, if you would have gone to the director of equity, as she suggested, so that you could talk about that with the director of equity, and work, I think she said, work through those feelings. What exactly, do you have any indication of what that would look like? Did you have any conversations with the equity department?
I did not about it. I resigned from the district, and then I had a conversation with Anthony, the director of equity, about it. But before the BLM week, I did not reach out to them. I did not.
And so what she gets into next, this principal, is what I'm getting at, what I'm curious about, is if she's encouraging you to go to the equity department or an administrator because she wants to make sure that these concerns are not shared publicly in any way. Anyone that doesn't align with this particular approach to including students and children, perhaps should be silenced, is what it sounds like. And the reason is a little bit more clear in this next part. So let's take a listen.
So we'll see how that shakes out. But I really do just want you to understand that the way this reads and the way that this comes across is that you were excited to hear that people would go against what the district said, and that you were happy that they were insubordinate and basically did not follow through what was asked of them as a public educator. So I just want to make that clear. And one of the questions that I have, because now I feel like I need to do a little backpedaling. I've had conversations with teachers that I know some were uncomfortable, but you stated here that there are a lot of teachers who were brave enough. And now I need to find out and to know what teachers from our building or other teachers? Who are the teachers that you're talking about?
Okay, so that's something that I don't feel comfortable sharing. Yeah, I mean, I know what I know, and I don't feel like the point is sharing who didn't. The point here is the post I made. So I'm just like, I'm here sitting with you, and I want to protect those teachers. So
I just have a question.
yeah.
Were you there to see them present their lessons, or is it something that they told you that they did, and perhaps they just said that, but they did follow the curriculum?
Maybe you're right. Maybe you just said that because I wasn't happy with that, and they just said, well, we didn't do it just to make me happy. I have no idea. Maybe they did follow the lesson plan, and they did teach it. But yeah.
But you presented it as fact on Facebook.
Right, because that's their words. So I didn't see it happening. I just heard it.
Well, we and I don't mean to take over to these, but if you are aware of our staff who are not following our directives, we are entitled to ask them to provide those names.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, but sorry, I cannot share them. Like, I don't want, like I said, like, I just know that they didn't, and yeah.
I'm going to pause there again. So, do you have any idea what exactly would they do with those names?
I have no idea. I mean, sit them and talk to them like they did with me. I don't know. Like, and like I told them, I wasn't willing to share those names. Those teachers entrusted me what they were going through. And like I told her, like maybe they told me those things to make me happy. I don't know. But I know the teachers, and I know that they were not lying. But like I told them both, I'm not willing to share names. I didn't do this post. I didn't do this to encourage teacher to, disobey. No, that wasn't like, and I think I said that from the very beginning. My point was that me, Sadrak, was happy about this. Not like to tell teachers, go ahead and keep doing it, or don't. No, I didn't go to them and asking, don't do it. No, they shared their own concerns, and we just follow up with our conversations. And that's what happened. Like she said, I'm entitled to ask you, for the names. Great, but I'm not sharing them. And I mean, I didn't share them.
Yeah, and what you said, I'm hearing a few words that kind of raise my eyebrows here about, because you wanted to protect them. And then in your initial post, you said that there were teachers that were brave. And that leads me to wonder, why are they brave? Is there some kind of fear? Was there fear of something? Is it something you said to protect them? Protect them from what? Is there...
Well, yeah, I mean, those teachers don't want to lose their jobs. I mean, we're talking about their jobs, their incomes, and they didn't want it to be, the ones be, put on the fence. Like, it's me saying it, no. And because of that, I was going, and I'm still protecting those names. It's their jobs, it's their incomes, and a lot of teachers are afraid of speaking up because of their jobs.
Is there any one thing that a person, or just maybe a group, or is there anything in particular that would lead so many teachers to feel like they could possibly lose their job?
I have not an answer for that. Okay. I don't have an answer. Mm-hmm. I just know that, I mean, when they sat me, when they called me to this meeting, mm-hmm. that's what it came to my mind, mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. If I don't, follow up what they're asking me to follow, if I don't say yes to what they're asking me to say yes, mm-hmm. eventually they will fire me.
Yeah, and actually, as we head into our kind of final clip here, the tone increases, the intensity, if you will, and what they're asking of you, but you held firm here.
Yeah.
So, Cedric, so kind of the question then is kind of where do we go from here? And for me, like on my end, right, I have to know, right, at the end of the day, who is comfortable with this and who isn't, right?
Mm-hmm.
So whether you share or not, I do have to do some more investigating and finding out, at least from our building, because that's what I'm responsible for. And I don't know if you were talking about people specific to our building or people not only in our building, but other associates or acquaintances that you have around the district. But to see, right, who's followed through or not, so that I can have a conversation about really what are the underlying concerns or the issues, and then how do we work through that and move forward? Because at the end of the day, we serve all students.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be able to create a space where every student feels safe, loved, valued for who they are. And at the end of the day, that the parents know too, that they can send them to our building and recognize that people here are setting aside those, for lack of a better word, biases that they have, and can set those aside to give the kids the best that they have to offer.
She's
right?
referring
Mhm.
to your
And
beliefs
so
as
that's
biases.
going to be my job moving forward and kind of continuing with this investigation. I will say there may be a point at which I will need to talk with you again
Okay.
and think about what does this mean, just moving forward. But I just want to let you know, I appreciate your honesty. I understand how you feel with your beliefs and how you feel that those are a part of you. And I understand that and I can appreciate that. But I also need you to understand, right, that this public post does directly conflict with your role as a public school educator here at Sawyer.
Okay.
We'd like you to delete the post.
I can't do that. Sorry.
Well, yes, you can.
Oh yeah, I can, but I'm choosing not to.
But that would be insubordination.
Okay. Yeah.
So you're still not going to do it,
And no, I can't do that.
but you can do that.
Okay, so I'm choosing not to. Just like I said, I just share my opinion, and we all have different opinions, and we all know are going to agree with the same thing.
Okay, so that's something.
All right, so we'll just pause right there. I am very impressed at how you maintain your beliefs, and you did it so gracefully, so respectfully. I wonder why it is that an employer thinks that they can tell you what to say outside of school hours, in your own time. I mean, can they tell you what to say in a conversation with your neighbor?
Mm-hmm. But I feel like if you hear the principal, Denise, she is asking me, she's telling me she's going to have conversations around the building to see who is with this, or who is with them. Like, when I heard that before, and as I'm listening to it right now, I'm thinking like, so, and if they're not, aboard with this, then what's going to happen? Mm-hmm. I mean, what's going to happen? Mm-hmm. Like, then we have the person from HR, Christine Johnson, tell me you have to delete it, or mm-hmm. it's insubordination. Mm-hmm. Like, it is my personal Facebook. It's not a school Facebook. It's not like mm-hmm. ESL Facebook. It is my Facebook where I post a lot of different things. Mm-hmm. And most of them are my opinions. Mm-hmm. And I'm not telling people how to think or act or do things. That's just my opinion.
Absolutely. And what I heard you say is, it sounds like this might go back to answer one of my previous questions too about the fear, is they were trying to find out who is with us and who is not. It sounds to be two groups. There's mm-hmm. like the us and the thems.
Correct.
It is divided, and people are put into groups based on if you believe this set of values or if you don't. And then they're pit up against each other. And what we aim to do on this podcast and what I hope to see in our school, in our community, is for us to come together with our diverse views and respect and love and just come together in kindness and share that common humanity. And just like a family would, just like a neighborhood with diversity, racially, socioeconomically, with diverse religious beliefs, we can disagree, we come together, and we can love each other. So I just love how you modeled that. And then you kind of go on to make sure that you're clear about that you love the kids. And then one more time, she tells you to leave your beliefs and your opinions at the door. So we'll just wrap up with that.
I guess that will, like as we continue the investigation, Cedric, that will come back to. So probably at a future time, if I need to have another conversation with you in regards to this. But I would expect, and it is my expectation, right, that your personal beliefs would be set aside, not as in, I should say, not your personal beliefs, but your personal opinions, right? Be set aside and checked at the door as you come in and are working with students every day. Because like I said, I value you in the role that you have. And I've seen the interactions that you've had with students, but I would not, with those personal opinions, to come in and communicate anything different to our students and our parents.
Okay.
And I don't know, Kristen, is there anything else that you would want to add or say? All right, so I know that you've got some things here coming up, Cedric, so we will not keep you. But like I said, I may set up another time to meet with you.
I just want to reaffirm you that, like I said from the very beginning, I'm here to do my job. I'm here to work with the kids. And like I said, I'm going to respect their beliefs, and I'm just going to be here for them. And like I said, I'm for them. I'm here for the students.
Awesome. Well, I think that really summarizes your heart, and it models so well for teachers and for our community how we can have differing views, and that's okay, and we can come together and around our common humanity and around education, and you can teach them and love those kids so well. And so can you walk us through then what happened after this meeting? You did leave the post up.
Correct. I didn't delete it like they asked. I still up there. I was just like, I'm not going to take it down. The post is going to remain there. They told me that they were going to call me for another meeting, which they never did. I left the district because in my heart I've always been to teach Spanish, and after this my wife and I talked about it, and we were like, well, let's just resign and let's find a different job, because right now we don't know what's going to happen with you next year in the district. She asked in the meeting, like, if this comes up next year, where are you at? And like I said, I'm going to say the same things. And I think that when I talked to her with my resignation, I told Denise, like, I'm doing it, and you ask me where I'm going to stand for next year, and to be honest with you, I'm going to speak louder. And if I'm not in the district, I can do it with a loud voice and just do it. I also had a meeting with the director of equity, Anthony, and I told him why I was resigning and things that were said to me, which he was like, like things that you're a male and minority, and I told him, like, isn't the district supposed to be a way to keep going away from this of putting minority down? And here we are. It was said to me, somebody that, according to the U.S., I'm part of the minority, and they told me, if you're not, you are part of the minority, so you're supposed to say yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir, to those things. like, because that's how the way I felt. Like, I'm minority, okay, and I'm, male teacher, and just because of those things, am I supposed to say yes sir to everything? And Anthony didn't know what to tell me, because yes, those things were said to me by somebody, another person of color too, and I told him, that some of the reasons that I was resigning. We talked a little bit about equity, and I told him, like, where is the, when you sent these letters to the parents in the district, since, we're talking about equity here, my question for you is, did we translate all of the letters, or did we translate the letter to be sent to the district, to the parents in the district in all of those different languages? Because, that's part of the equity. Everybody needs to know what's going on. And he didn't answer my question, so automatically it's a no. And, I'm part of a community, and I talked to some parents, Hispanic parents, and they were like completely in shock when I told them what was, going on during that week. And they said, no, the letter came in English, and I don't speak English. So, there were a lot of things actually that were really bad. But like I said, I resigned, and I am in a different district now. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sad to leave the district, because I was really happy in Ames, but yeah.
Yeah. Wow. What a powerful story. Now, to transition to a similar case in some ways, there was a post made by another district employee. This was also a Facebook post by a high school guidance counselor that reads, and again, we'll have this posted on the website as well, since we are audio here. I'll read it. It says, "Want a quick glimpse into our interracial marriage?" And then she says, "Me, going to give Abdullah a kiss goodnight." Quote, "Okay, I'm going to bed," Abdullah says, singing in his reggae voice. "I say we kill the white people." Then me, laughing hysterically. "Okay, love you too." And then there's a wink and then emoji that's blowing a kiss. So, end quote. So that's the post. I say we kill the white people. That is not funny. And there's a laughing emoji after that. And she actually says laughing hysterically. I'm wondering, this happened last year. Did you hear about this post? I'm wondering if there's a consistent pattern or a consistent method of evaluating social media posts or regulating this type of thing, because this employee is still working in the district. I saw her on the roster to speak at an upcoming event that's going in February. So are you aware of a guideline do they have a guideline for regulating social media posts?
I have no idea. I don't think they do. In one of the board meetings, there was something that came up in regards to that. Meaning, like, if they sat me and told me to take it down and all that, there wasn't anything on their teacher's, master contract or manual, or I don't even know what to call it. It wasn't there. It came after. I think it was recently, like a month ago, maybe. But I have no idea what are the steps to follow if you are posting things, and what kind of things will they call good or bad or not, appropriate or not professional. That one right there sounds really unprofessional, really bad, and really sending a message. Yeah, very concerning.
And so that's perhaps something we need to dig into here for future podcast topics is, what is that new policy for teachers and how does it affect their free speech? How does it influence what they can say as an individual, as a person outside of their role, as an employee in the district? So we'll dig into that in upcoming podcast topics. Now, to start to kind of wrap up all the takeaways that you had from this experience, after your post, did this being called in come as a surprise to you, or did you kind of see this coming? Did you know, when you made the post, did you think, oh, I'm probably going to get called in for this, or what? Can you walk me through that?
Yeah. When I did my post, I wasn't thinking about anybody calling me to a meeting, anybody, I didn't think about anything. I have said like at least more than 3 times, like this was my personal opinion. It was me being happy that a lot of teachers didn't went ahead and, did this. But I wasn't thinking about, I'm going to be offending people or I'm going to be putting people in a bad spot, like didn't cross my mind that I was going to be called within the next day. And it didn't cross my mind like I was going to, after you post this, I like, know that you're going to be called. No, because I didn't do it in a malicious way. I wasn't thinking like I want to do this, to be, to offend somebody out there. Like, no, I was just like, I'm just happy that this happened. This just happened. It was outside my school hours and I did my post. Yeah.
I wonder if you are one of the first teachers to comment on that on Facebook, on social media in that way. And then perhaps the school didn't have a guideline for how they approach. And maybe perhaps it's because they shouldn't regulate the free speech of their employees when they're not on the time of the district. So, and then kind of just some of my final questions for you are, what do you have, as you've reflected on this for almost a year now, what kinds of things do you have you taken away that might be helpful insights and just implications for teachers, for community members, and even for parents? Any thoughts for them?
Well, when I, resigned from my position, I talked to a lot of teachers and they were telling me, you're brave for doing this. You're brave enough to say what you said and stand firm on your beliefs. And you're just brave. So I don't know, like I've been thinking about it, and if all of the teachers that are not agreeing with this, those subjects in our buildings were to stand up, then things will be differently. I'm pretty sure things will be very different, because I was just having this conversation with somebody, like, if we don't speak up, then they are going to believe that we agree with them and that we are all for it, and they're going to keep, doing things. But if we all stand up and say like no more, then they will really see and like, oh, they were just quiet, but there's a good group out there. So, I'm not telling the teachers, to go ahead and resign and stand up. No, just like say something, speak up, and things will be different.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I can imagine it's uncomfortable. They told you were brave because they knew what you would go through when you share your beliefs. Have you faced some negative comments from people as a result of this, or have you?
No, I would say the majority of people that I have talked to, they have told me like, you stay on your ground, you didn't back up, you didn't say, yes, okay, I'm going to delete it. No, most of the people that I have talked to has been, with me and saying like, good job, you're brave, keep up. But, like when you go to Facebook and you see the post, there were some people that were saying things, but it wasn't like in a bad way. They were just like surprised that I said those things. And I was like, well, I just had enough, and I said what I said. But no, the majority of people have been, with me on this matter. Yeah.
So that's encouraging, I think, for probably teachers to hear, but also for me as a parent, as a community member. And I just want to encourage other parents, community members, to that it's okay for every single person to share your beliefs, and it's okay that we disagree, and people may name call, people may disapprove of those beliefs, and that's okay. We can, and that's what diversity is, and that's great to have these diverse views, diverse socioeconomics, racial diversity, all of it's great. And so part of the motive and the why behind this podcast is to give a space for us to have conversations that then encourage other people in our community to start to be able to have those conversations individually, with a friend, with another parent at the playground, etc. And so we can continue some other takeaways that I have gleaned from Sadrak's story is asking questions of what's being taught to my child in the classroom, asking more questions, even at the district level, as far as what are requirements and what's in the curriculum, and getting involved. It could be the PTA. It could be getting involved and reaching out to our group, to our podcast, Together for Education, and we would be happy to collaborate and have conversations with anyone interested. So we encourage you to get involved. Do you have any kind of final comments for us to take away?
Not at this time, but thank you for asking.
Well, I am so thankful. I really took away a lot from your story, and your example that you shared your beliefs respectfully, and you modeled what it is to love all of your students. With that, I just want to thank our listeners and welcome you back to future episodes. Thanks so much.